Y'all do me a favor, share, invite as y'all pop in. Just because I am shadow banned right now because of my last violation. So whenever I go live, you guys are not getting the notifications. So if everybody that's in here right now can invite one other kingdom member, that would be excellent. Okay, that would be amazing, and so on and so forth. Y'all DM'd me, y'all messaged me about this when it comes to the 4B, 4G conversation. We're also going to talk about dating older men. I think everyone saw the images across the internet in the streets yesterday of Aoki and her grandpa aged boyfriend, and that is fair to say. Okay, so we'll go through one through another. Now, when it comes to this 4B and the 4G, I literally want to hear you guys' thoughts. This is an open panel; it's not curated. So if you have something that you want to sound off about pertaining to it, baby, come up here and speak your heart's desire, speak your mind. Oh, hold on, let me get the invite code over here on the YouTube side. So if any of you guys want to jump in, you can use the link and come backstage. Now, if you do want to come backstage, just turn your camera on while you're backstage. If you don't want to cam up, out for the public, you do not have to do that. You're entitled to do whatever you like. You said, is she really dating him? I mean, she was kissing him. They were on the beach in the sand. He was taking her picture. They've been around and a few other things. I would think that qualifies as her dating him, right? No, am I tripping? Am I tripping? I mean, I'm pretty sure that would qualify as dating. But I mean, I could be wrong. What do I know? But let's go with first topic, which is this 4B 4G situation. So, I think, hold on. Let me turn this on so y'all can pop up. Oh no, y'all, it's freezing. Uh-oh. Oh snap. Uh-oh, y'all, it's not letting me open it up. You didn't see any images? Child. This is freezing because I'll be happy. I'll be happy to post the images. I don't know what it's doing right now. Hold on. I'm trying to see. Okay, y'all. So I'm going to end and I'm going to come back on and I'm going to see if it will let me open up the panel because it is not letting me. I can't push any of my settings right now. Like it'll let me move this around. Hold on. There we go. There we go. It's unfrozen. Come on now. There we go. All right. Hey, Rose Goddess. Any of you guys that want to pop up, you can pop up. So, oh, and let me show you this image. It says you're like, you haven't seen any images. Because, like I said, in my opinion, it's just me. I could be wrong, but typically if you're kissing a man, then, and you guys are on the beach, it definitely reads like a vacation. Does it read like a vacation to anybody else? Oh, baby, he was taking her little pictures and everything. Can you see that? You said you haven't seen any images. Do you see that one? That would definitely classify as dating, right? That definitely classifies as dating. So I'm not really sure why some of y'all are trying to be in denial about what's going on. But sis is definitely over here on a grandpa age man. For sure, for sure. For sure. So y'all want to hit this first or y'all want to hit 4B first? It's up to y'all. Y'all tell me. Um, you date older? How much older do you date? And y'all, anybody can pull up on the panel. You said it was said that's when she dated men her age, her dad would harass them to the point that they would break up. So I guess she said, "Why give me an old man?" Because you can't boss them around. Is that what's going? Is that what's going on? Is that what's going on? Hold on, let me get the image so y'all can see it over here on YouTube. Here we go. For anybody that hasn't seen it, there's several pictures of them, honey, on the beach having. There's several images of them on the beach having them a good old time together. You talking about men? Have you called your daughter today? Let's see. You said Russell was older than Kimora. She's following suit. I am Jay Janice. I said the same thing. I was like, she's basically following in her mother's footsteps. A lot of, if we gonna keep it a buck. Now I will say this: the age gap may have not been that extreme, back in the day, but I know for a fact when I was in high school, there were a lot of girls that dated guys that were older, and I would consider it older if they can get in the club or they can buy a libation and you could not. I would definitely put that right in the older category. And then you would have some girls in their early 20s that would always be dating guys, late 20s, mid 30s, sometimes up into the 40s. And we're not going to act like it's not uncommon across many cultures that they're older men, and they typically do have wives that sometimes are young enough to be their children. So we're not gonna act like this doesn't happen. All of this grooming conversation, realistically, I feel like I don't recall hearing about that until maybe a few years ago. That you said I'm not sure how to feel about this. This is a large gap. I mean, it's not the first one though. There are lots of May December romances. 4B is a funny movement. Yeah, I'm not with the 4B movement, but for those that want a 4B, they can 4B all on. You say he's worth 500 million and she's 21. So I mean, what does that mean? So are we saying we approve it because he's a man of financial means? Well, let me be clear. It's not for us to approve anything. People can do whatever they want to do in their life. But do you feel like it's acceptable because this is a man with a lot of money, since he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars? Then it's okay. It's like, go off, sis, go get your bag. What is the 4B movement? Okay, first of all, y'all tell me which one y'all want to talk about first. 4B is basically a movement that started in South Korea. There are a lot of issues with femicide and rape there, and those women there, I per- I understand 100% what they're doing. I think a lot of the women in the states, honestly, it's almost commoditized here. Half of them that are running around talking about they're with the 4B movement literally don't even know what the B's stand for. Okay. They don't even know what the B stand for. They're just like 4B, 4B, 4B. And they so then I saw in response to the 4B movement that there's a set of men who have decided that they're gonna start 4G. Now I've been trying to research it to figure out what the 4G stand for. I don't know what the G stand for. If anybody knows what the G's stand for, please come up and tell me. Like, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I really genuinely do not know, and I'm very interested in what the G's. But I know that the 4G has to do with men not dating women, withholding their seed, and not providing and not protecting. But I'm not trying to be funny, but there's a lot of that already not happening. And then I see the women with 4B, like I've seen a lot of think pieces about this, and they're saying things like, well, there are women in the United States that are already practicing 4B. No, just because there are women that were practicing celibacy or abstinence doesn't mean that we were a part of the 4B movement. And I'm saying that as a woman, I was for 5 years, but it wasn't because I dated men during when I, you know what I'm saying, I dated men. I still love men. I don't have anything against men. I don't want to see my world without men. And I know somebody's going to call me a pick me, that's fine. I don't care, because that's the irony of this to me. Any woman that speaks out, if we're loud or if we're vocal the way I am right now, well, then they want to attack us and call us names. They want to dismiss us. They don't want to listen to us, but their whole thing is, oh, we're a part of the 4B movement in the States because men are not listening to us, but yet they're trying to silence other women, and then they want to bully other women that don't want to be a part of the 4B movement. And if I'm being honest, I feel like the women here in America are really watering down the true intention and the messaging, and you know what I mean? The the stance that the South Korean women are taking, because the culture for women in South Korea is very different than the culture here for women in the States. So the bees, okay. So in y'all, I do not speak. I don't speak Korean. Okay, I do not speak Korean. So I'm gonna do my best to pronounce the B words. Anybody feel free to correct me. I'm just doing my best because I do not speak Korean. Okay, so the first B is Bihan. Okay, Bihan is the first B, which that means no marriage. The second B is Bishulshan. Bishulshan. That means no childbirth. The third B is Bionye, and that means no dating. And then the fourth B is Bexexo, which means no sex. Okay. So that's why it's called the 4B in South Korea, because the women are saying we don't want to engage in marriage, childbirth, dating, or heterosexual, or physical intimacy with a heterosexual man. Okay. That's what the B's are supposed to be. So it's interesting to me that you have a lot of women in America that are like, oh, I want to be a part of the 4B movement. And they can't even tell you what the B's are, because for a lot of them, they feel like this is a way to weaponize, you know what I'm saying, themselves against men. But with those women in South Korea, this is more of a way for them to protect themselves and future generations because of the severe rates of feminicide and rape against women in South Korea. And they've been successful. It started around 2016, 2017 over there. And y'all, South Korea is having an issue with birth rates. Their mortality rates are higher than the birth rates right now, to the point that a whole first grade and Tone, I think it started in 2016, 2017. It picked up more steam in 2019. And to a point that right now they have kindergarten and first grade. They have kindergarten and first grade classes right now, y'all, that don't even have enough students in them. So realistically, if there's enough women that kept this up there, you literally could see a whole generation being eradicated inside of our generation. Now, which goes back to why when somebody asked me about it, I was very clear. I'm not with it, especially for Black women to be signing up on this movement, because realistically, and I'm just speaking from my experience. Okay. And I know my experience is not everyone's experience, but typically in a lot of Black households and a lot of Black families, Black women's voices typically have been heard generation after generation after generation. I don't know what was going on with y'all's grandmas and y'all's mamas and y'all's aunties, but I grew up in an environment where it's more egalitarian. Hold on, Tone. I think I need to reset my mic because it's taking a long time for you to connect. I think it's my side. Hold on. I'll be right back, y'all. Hold on, YouTube. And if any of you guys on to YouTube, if you want to come up, I dropped the hold on, let me pin this link so that way y'all have it. So y'all can use this link and y'all can come backstage. And if y'all have thoughts or opinions about this, pull up. Excuse me. Okay. Hopefully we can hear this time. Let's see. Hey, I can hear you now. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. I'll just re-request again. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, what you were saying is correct. I also do not agree with it. Me personally, I think it's funny. I think it's funny for it to come over here, but for it over in Korea, they actually have a reason to do this, and it's because I ain't gonna lie, they're actually going through especially for the women, they're going through systemic oppression.
Yeah.
They actually do have these things where, yes, their birth rates are falling, because a good um, it is not a good investment to have children there. Literally, you're signing up to be homeless if you
Mm-hmm.
have a child there. That's how bad it is. So they're actually, if I'm not mistaken, they have a disparity of the wage gap between men and women over there about 31%. I may be wrong. So
You're
they're actually
accurate.
going through things, huh?
I said you're accurate.
Yeah. So they're actually going through things that they actually need. Let's say a movement. They need some type of help. So these women are signing up for this movement. Yes, you have to put in an application for this movement. Um, they're cutting their hair off.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting double mastectomies. They're doing a lot. They are making themselves literally unattractive to men so they could actually get rights, and they're swearing off of men
Right. They're
forever
committed to
until they.
this.
They're,
Yeah.
they're doing all of these things so they can actually get some type of equality over there when it comes down to just living. Just living.
Yeah.
Now when it comes to the West, I think it's completely funny because
It's
there's
being
a lot of things.
commoditized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we our women over here extremely privileged when you compare it to them, completely and extremely privileged. um they first off, when it comes down to the movement over here, I'm gonna let you know right now, the face of it right now, and I'm just saying the face of it right now is a black woman we all know on TikTok. I don't know if y'all seen the page, but it's if I'm not mistaken, she's a part of that community, and she's also satanic. um I think there's an alternate agenda for her to get people over there. But when it comes down to it, I think it's more of people just trying to weaponize something else against men over here. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely. And if I'm being honest, this is my thing. I know people are gonna feel some type of way towards me, but I don't care. Oh, can y'all do me a favor? Y'all spam me with 1 cent gifts, and y'all put what you have for lunch or your favorite fruit in the chat. It will help protect my life because y'all know how the other group feels about me. So they have no problem. Hey Slim, they have no problem with coming in trying to get my account taken down. So that's why I got violations right now. All right, everybody's like, I don't get notifications when you go live anymore. It's thanks to them, but it's all to the good. This is the first thing. When we look at women in the United States, and I'm going to talk specifically about Black women right now. Okay, we already have low populations. Okay, I'm not here for anything that's going to eradicate us. This is me. This is how I feel. Y'all can feel however you want to feel. And like I said, if you have opposing thoughts, similar thoughts, if you're indifferent, whatever, and you want to share that, pull up. But for me, I'm not for anything that's going to weaken our population as a whole. Okay. The government has tried to do that several times throughout history that's been documented when it comes to us. Everything from forced hysterectomies where the women didn't even know that they were happening, to even the introduction of birth control and pushing it through the Black church because that was their agenda. But a lot of Black women don't know that because they said that us and that our Mexican sisters were basically reproducing like animals, like rabbits. This is actually what was quoted, and that they had to do something about it because eventually that the white people in the United States were going to become the minority. And so a lot of times back in the day, there were very, very large families, right? I think almost all of us in here, maybe like our parents, like my mama is number 7 out of 10. My daddy is the baby out of 10. My grandma was the oldest out of 18. So it was not uncommon back in the day for Black folks to have very, very large families, especially Black people that grew up in the country the way we lived in the country, because you needed to work the land, right? It was like a family effort. So there was another reason for people to have a large amount of children, all right? So back in the days, whenever they started pushing birth control, they strategically went to the church because they knew that a lot of Black people were connected to their religion, and that they would be able to use the church to be able to get the word out and on board a lot of Black women into birth control. But they did not expect this. The white women actually got really excited about birth control, and they decided that they wanted to take birth control because they wanted to be able to go to school, they wanted to be able to work, they liked the idea of not having to be, barefoot and pregnant in the house and have some autonomy over themselves and their bodies. Okay. So then what they would do with Black women is, after Black women would have children, they would go to the hospitals and they would give Black women and Mexican women's hysterectomies without telling them what was happening to them. So a lot of them had no idea that this is the procedure that was happening to them. This is also around that time where once people started realizing what was happening, this is where you saw another uptick in a lot of Black women, like especially in the country. There's so many women, they would have their children at home. And then once the baby got a few months old, they took the baby into town, and then they got the baby recorded and all of that good stuff. But they would have the babies themselves. Okay. So I need y'all to understand that this thing, okay, this movement, this effort to eradicate Black people in America goes very, very deep. Okay, this is not conspiracy theory stuff I'm talking about. You can actually go and look this up. Okay, and there are several instances where they've tried to drop all kinds of diseases, all kinds of propaganda, all sorts of types of things into our community. And so for me, when I hear a lot of Black women being so passionate about the 4B movement, when half of them, which is, to me, I'm going to say it's false passion, because how can you be passionate about something and you don't even know what the B's stand for? But a lot of them gravitating to it almost looks to me the same way a lot of Black women gravitated towards the second and third wave of feminism. And overall, that was not good for our community at all.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Like, when it comes down to these movements, they're just trying to eradicate us. And when I said the face of this movement, I'm literally saying the face. Mm-hmm. Now, I've seen videos of Korean women. They've been talking to YT women about perverting their movement. They've been talking to YT women. They've been saying, please stop taking our movement. This is the only thing we have to try to fight, against something that is, bigger than us completely. Our autonomy is the only thing we have. Please don't take that.
And they're making a joke of it.
Specifically to Black women at all. But I'm going to tell you what YT women have done. And they've done this for a good long time. They will take and make Black women the poster boy for all of their movements without you getting anything out of it.
Oh, come on now. Say it again. That's another reason that I'm not for it, because realistically, when you look at other groups of women, when have y'all keep it a buck? I want y'all to really, really think about this. When have y'all seen any other groups of women join in with any specific movements that pertain to Black women? They don't. So for all of the women that are like, Ashley Ann is a pick me and blah, 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 baby, you can call me whatever you want to. In my opinion, you're a pick me. Okay. And you're not using your deductive reasoning or your critical thinking skills. How many times do we have to let people play in our faces? How many times do we have to let people use us as pawns and then immediately discard us? And while we're out here suffering, none of them look back to lend us a helping hand. How many times does that have to happen? So when people ask me, and like I said, the only reason I'm talking about this is because so many people were DMing me and asking me my opinion and asking would I host a panel about the 4B movement. But I'm telling y'all, I'm standing 10 toes down on it. I am not for the 4B movement. If you're for the 4B movement, go off with your bad self. But I also have another set of regular questions. If you already, as a woman, you have children, how are you now participating in the 4B movement? Because again, from the South Korean perspective, they are saying we would rather go extinct than to birth another set of young women into this system. We would rather die. That's what they're saying. We would rather die. Let's keep it a buck. How many women in the US would actually really rather die, really rather end us, especially when we talk about black women in the United States? Y'all need to get out and get your passports and travel. I'm telling you, we have a lot. It's very easy for us as women here in the United States. You feel like it's not because you haven't been, a lot of us haven't traveled around the world. It's not the same. It's not the same when you go into these other countries, y'all. For women, they do not have the rights and the liberties that we have. And if I'm gonna keep it a buck, they've done several surveys, okay, where they've talked to different white women, and the number one thing that white women admire about black women, outside of that we look youthful as we age, the fact that we are allowed to have opinions and voices and thoughts, that we have some type of say so inside of our families and inside of our households. So what are we really signing up for? Because if I'm being honest, if someone asks me, I'm telling y'all the truth. I don't feel that I'm sitting here as a woman with no rights. I don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm. So so when it comes down to this whole movement and stuff, like we gotta start looking like carefully, especially like we can just look back through history. Like you said, when have we joined a movement or promoted or helped somebody else and then they was like, thank y'all, and then gave us something back? Never. We still fighting for reparations. Come on.
Come on. And every group has gotten them. Even slave owners. Exactly. Even slave owners got reparations. But the enslaved descendants and the enslaved people didn't get reparations. Like make it make sense.
Exactly. So we gotta stop doing this stuff. If the YT women want to promote something, if they want to pervert and steal a movement, at least let them be the face of that shit. Because I'm gonna let y'all know, people don't understand that. Yeah, YT women are the ones that took the 4B movement, but everybody think it's us. Because guess what? We want to sit here and put ourselves on the face, whatever, to try to fuck up our own communities, just to be like, we got y'all back, sisters.
I do not. They can have it. I root for them from afar.
Like, we calling them brothers and sisters over there, and they still calling us the N-word. Like,
come on,
come on, y'all. Like we gotta wise up at some point. Like we got to. Like this stuff don't work for us.
The reality, the only rights that women are fighting for over here is like against the Roe v. Wade, the bodily autonomy. You know what I'm saying? As far as when it comes to medically and shit. But then there's still like certain shit that they fight for, but it's like those bridges are being broken, but just slowly.
You cut off, Slim.
Real but
Slim, you're choppy.
Oh shit! Can you hear me?
I can now.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
All right. What they were saying like basically by gauging it like that, it's like the difference between diarrhea and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like both of them still shit, feel me? And I get that somewhat. You know what I'm saying? But I this the 4B West lady, I think she doing that shit to antagonize more than anything. Feel me? I believe, my belief is she's doing it to antagonize people the same way the passport bros is antagonizing black women. You know what I'm saying? I think she's doing that shit to antagonize black men. Like even that changing her name to Satanist, that's cap because she an atheist. But she know that would trigger niggas even more.
I just and when it comes to I'm just over all of this performative, you know what I mean? Like over these performative, outrages, and I'm standing for something when in the reality of the situation, you're not standing for anything in real life. That's really how I feel. Like all of these think pieces and going, to battle or saying, I hate this person, I hate that person, blah, 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 blah. Overall, it's exhausting and it's counterproductive. It's not moving the needle. And if I'm being honest, I don't understand why so many black women and black men are at each other's necks, because the reality of the situation, like I was in a room the other day and they kept going back to welfare. Well, newsflash, none of us were old enough to make those decisions at that time. None of us were running in households at that time. Half of us weren't even born during that time. So it was really strange to me that people are so quick to blame one another when the reality of the situation is none of us that are having this conversation were even involved inside of those decisions. We know what happened. Let's trace back to the root of it. And other than that, figure out how we can work together and move forward. So when I see some of the think pieces and the panels and the people that are having the discussion on the 4B movement, especially when I'm looking at the Black women that are hosting these panels and leading these discussions, to me, it seems to be more divisive, right? And this is more poison and more toxins coming into our community, right? And then we start looking at realistically, when you look at what you are refraining from, if you're saying, I'm committing to this 4B movement, how many women that are out here saying they're a part of the 4B movement really are like, okay, I'm committed to never dating a man for the rest of my life. I'm committed to never having physical intimacy with a man for the rest of my life. I'm committed to going through life and not having children, because some of y'all have a very strong desire to become mothers. So how many of y'all are really saying this is what I really want to do? How many of y'all are willing to make yourself as physically unattractive as possible as a way to ward off the other sex?
Yeah, that's part of it. You're supposed to not do anything that you're supposed to divest from any beauty modifications that coincide with patriarchal norms or beauty standards of any patriarchal norms. And I ain't gonna lie, a lot of women ain't gonna do that shit.
Right.
They gonna be out here looking at things. It's like you gonna take pieces of the movement, you know what I'm saying, and then take the ones that you feel like you can do. And some of them, it ain't even that they can do it. Some of them, they really have no choice. And the other part is, if you getting into it's a political aspect to the 4B movement in Korea, feel me? Mm-hmm. If you not in it for the political aspect, you in it just because you trying to make men better. That ain't it.
It's not.
And the 4G movement, I don't believe in it.
What do the G's stand for? Because to me, it almost seems like a little tit for tat or something, like, oh, y'all got a 4B, well, we gonna have a 4G. I'm like, what is this?
The 4G movement is a bunch of niggas that's not hurt they horny, feel me? They already ain't getting no goddamn. Ain't no way in hell no man that's having good interactions with women is gonna get outside of that, go outside of that and talk about he gonna be celibate, not have children, not do none of that. Yeah, that ain't happening.
Let me tell you this: the ones that want to join in and be celibate, actually, that's a breakthrough from the Lord. Stick to it. Stick to it, baby. Do all of us a favor. Stop going out here and creating all these broken homes. Stop going out here and creating children that you're fracturing through life because they feel rejected because their daddy didn't want them or didn't want to spend time with them. So I'm here for it. If that's gonna keep those types from procreating, yeah, baby, go off. Put as many of them in it as possible.
Look, the 4G niggas is the reason why there's a 4B movement, because some of the causes of the women that's joining the 4B movement in America, some of them causes are valid, right? But the extremism in it is the part that, you know what I'm saying, I be like, that shit bullshit, feel me? That shit bullshit.
Yeah, all of it is bullshit. 4B and 4B.
All right, so if you listen to some of the complaints of the women that literally have like they're buying into the 4B movement, bro, it's a lot of that shit valid, bro. Like they valid in some of their complaints. Now the extremism in it is because you won't take time out to actually get to know yourself or deal with yourself better so you can find a better quality of men, feel me? But then you have to turn around and flip it on the head. Like there's a lot of niggas that don't even listen to anything that women are telling them that they go through. Like the medical issues that Black women face in America, a lot of niggas is dismissing that shit, feel me? Mm-hmm. Even when it comes to like the whole system of SA or whatever, right? When they say, hey, look, we are tired of being asked, what do we do? What were we wearing? Et cetera, when something like this happens to us, and instead of you trying to make sure that I'm okay and try and go seek vengeance or even just be there in aid and compassion, that shit real, bro. Like the invalidation of women on so many different experiences, like if you look at it from a black woman's point of view, like a black woman, she suffers from two systems that black men. She suffers from an extra system that black men don't suffer from. We all suffer from racism, but then she gets sexism thrown on top of it, and we ignore that shit as men a lot of times because we don't realize that they live a different reality than us, and we don't advocate for them or speak up for them, and then we dismiss everything they say because it's not our experience. Them causes I fuck with, but the extremism and
But I would say that, Slim, like those things are valid, but they don't relate to the 4B movement because in that instance, okay, well now this is now unfortunately the black women that are participating in that, now they're hijacking this movement from the women in South Korea, where they're really trying to get human rights at this point is what they're looking for, right? So now at this point, now you have women trying to hijack this so that they can turn around and try and use this as a way to get men to listen to them, which the root of that is you still want to be in relation with men. You see what I'm saying? For the 4B movement, they don't want to be in relation with men. They are saying we would rather shut down, stop producing people, and we will die out as a people before we bring in another generation into this system. So again, when I'm looking at these women that are like, oh, I want to be in 4B, I want to be in 4B, 4B is not about leveraging men to have better relationships or forcing them into evolution as far as becoming a better partner. That's not, you know what I'm saying? That's not what it's about. And that's why I was like, they're watering it down.
That's what it's about in North Korea. It's just on all levels. You know what I'm saying? So like they on some until change, we ain't doing shit.
Right.
And it's on all levels.
So if you said North Korea, not North Korea.
It's South Korea.
They will never have rights. I'm gonna let you know that. Yeah, they will never have rights. Yeah, we can't do nothing about that.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking about South Korea though. South Korea, their movement is about like if we're opting out of everything until there's change, right? Whereas in America, some of these women are opting out until they get chosen by the right nigga.
Exactly.
I think that's a perversion of their movement. I think it's a mockery.
It is.
They're fighting for human. I think they're fighting for human rights. There are things that they literally cannot do. They are suffering from systematic disparities, oppression, literally because of the, I guess, patriarchy over there, which they really do have one. So they're literally giving up everything that would make them women just to actually.
If y'all look at the amount of femicide in South Korea and the grape culture that's there, it's mind-boggling. I want to challenge some of y'all, go and look up some of their newspapers and some of the articles over the past few years, and it's like literally every other article something horrendous is happening to a woman. I mean, y'all, it's really, really bad. So I absolutely understand why the women in South Korea are doing what they're doing.
Okay, I want to comment on the femicide part. So everybody knows Mexico has one of the highest femicide rates, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Does everyone know that? It's one of the countries with one of the highest femicide rates. What if I told you that Black American women have the same femicide rate as Mexico?
Then you'd be false.
I would like to know.
And if you want me to, if you would like me, please don't.
First of all, I'm the host. I'm the host, and I'm a woman and not a sir. So please don't disrespect me because I wasn't disrespecting you. And I was about to ask you, where did you find this data at? Because your data is contradictory to mine.
Yeah.
So I wasn't speaking to you. I was talking to the man that cut me off.
Wait, hold on. What we're not gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I'm the moderator. We're not gonna talk over each other. We're all adults and we're going to respect the host. Understand? We all have good points here. I will say this: if you have not studied and you don't know what's going on, please just take a back seat to this one and get educated on it. But please respect the host in this panel. Thank y'all kindly.
Yeah, so I wasn't talking to the host. I was talking to the man that kept interrupting me. There's a man on stage who's interrupted me twice. I can pull up the facts and I can actually send you a DM with the research that I have. But Black American women absolutely have a femicide problem. Every 5 to 6 hours, a Black American woman is unalived. and we have our own issues. So the idea that like, oh, South Korean women are going through something that Black American women are not, that's not true. Every 5 hours, a Black American woman is unalived, and she's not unalived by the cops. She's unalived by people in her own community. That is the definition of what femicide is. It's not when the cops kill you. It's when people in your own community unalive you. Black women are dealing with the same thing.
Well, technically, doesn't all crime happen based on proximity? The same way that if you look, the same way whenever no, it's the same way whenever you look at the rates of when you look at the it's not we don't have a genocide problem here either. Though.
That's what femicide is.
We don't have that here in the States.
Okay,
we don't
you would pick me.
Okay, now you just caught. Wait, hold on, Tone, hold on. So this is what I'm talking about. This is it. Y'all see how that happened? Did I call her out of her name? But because I did not agree with her, and because she knew I was about to put out information that was going to counter the lies that she's tried to spread, now all of a sudden she'd have called me a B and a pick me. But y'all are sitting here saying, oh, we want to be a part of the 4B movement because men are dismissing us when women sit around here and disrespect and dismiss other Black women all the time. If you're really truly about women, then all women should have the right to think and feel and live the lives that we want to live without being disrespected by other women. So and let's be real. I want y'all to look up the definition of genocide. And y'all sit here and honestly tell me that there's a genocide problem in the Black community with Black men. Whenever, and I want y'all to go and look up the rates of domestic violence. I want y'all to look them up, culture by culture, group by group. Okay, I want y'all to go and look that up, because if we're going to be out here putting out terms, we need to understand what the terms are. Now, when it comes to crime, when it comes to domestic violence, when it comes to any of those sorts of types of things, crimes happen based on proximity. So typically, Mexican people, guess what? They're going to be victim of more crimes committed by other Mexican people. The same way white Americans are going to be victim by more crimes, guess what? By white people. Black people, same thing, because typically crimes happen based on proximity of where you live and who you live around. That is a reality, whether y'all want to accept it or not. And the fact that I'm going to tell y'all this, any of y'all that get up here on this panel, baby, I'll read you up and down, backwards, forward, side to side, and I'll tell you limb for limb, because I understand everything that I'm speaking on. I'm a very educated woman. And unlike y'all, I don't get on the internet huffing and puffing think pieces. I actually been out working in my community for 17 years. And I'd have put up my time, I put up my money, I put up my sweat, I'd have put up actual like blood literally from my hands to make my community, to make Black men and Black women better. I lead by example. I'm not talking out the side of my neck. So we're going to go there. I'm very happy to have a conversation. But the fact that the minute I said something she didn't like, she wasn't even up here for 5 minutes before she just called me a bitch. Before she just called me a pick-me. But then but like literally, you ladies are what you hate. Y'all are saying that these men are terrible to us, and y'all are running around being terrible to other Black women. Y'all are running around being violent to other Black women. Y'all are running around being dismissive to other Black women. Y'all are running around being disrespectful to other Black women because we don't want to sign up because you can't bully me to be a part of your group think. We can have a conversation and I'm here for it. But baby, please understand, I'm not the one to be played with. I'm well versed in everything. Tone, thank you so much for putting up that definition. Like, let's keep it a buck. Everybody, I need y'all to go and look up the definition of femicide. I need you to look up the definition of genocide. We can't sit out here and just spout things out because we want to say them. And if we go by these numbers that these feminazis put out, that these misandrists put out, if we go by those numbers, everybody in here, if you rock with me, spam me real quick with 1 cent gifts, send me crowns, put your favorite fruit in the chats, do all of that. I need y'all to do all of that right now. If you really fool with me, okay? If you're really going by these numbers that they're out here misquoting, realistically, we don't even have enough Black women in our population to be able to maintain that.
Bam. Say that again for the people in the back.
Go and look up the numbers of the population, y'all. There's not enough of us to support those numbers.
Also, I'd like to point out something else, Feminine Millionaire. Of course, we hear that trope about the every 4 to 5 hours. The study she was trying to quote, that even comes from only intimate partners, and she just said people in general. So it's intimate partners, right? Also, the time where she was conflating from that, I think it's an article, where it was a time period of about 6 months where the rate of Black women's unalivings happened. It had doubled, if I'm not mistaken, but it was still not the highest. It was still that there was out of every other demographic.
Well, can I tell you something else, Tone, that they never want to quote? Whenever they've done that research and that study, and it says that one out of every 3 Black women have experienced domestic violence inside of a romantic relationship, they leave off the other part that also says 1 out of 4 out of every Black man has also experienced violence against him inside of a romantic relationship. So what does that mean? That means overall, as a people, which I think we all know that there's trauma, overall as a people, that there's problem putting their hands on one another. Let's keep it a buck. They just like to tell that one part. They don't like to show the other part. So basically, baby, yeah, it may be somebody out here, baby, y'all bopping each other upside the head. Yeah, that's the reality.
And I just wanted to add to that study, Watcher. Is it Watcher? And also, I think it conferred with what the host is saying, and thanks for having me up, is that I think that study or that article that you're reading, if I recall, I think it also doesn't include the stat of trans women as well. I think during that period.
Correct. Correct. You're correct.
Yeah, okay. That's all I want to say.
You're correct. Thank you for adding it. So before we continue on, y'all, I'm going to read the definition of genocide to you all. Okay. The deliberate, y'all, spam me, give me up, because I'm about to say a word that TikTok does not like. Okay. Spam, 1 cent gifts, 1 cent gifts. Everybody put your favorite fruit in the chat. Thank you. Genocide, the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. I'm going to read it again. The deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. So now that we all know the definition, with your clear heads and your sound minds, are y'all going to sit here and tell me that Black men are attempting genocide against Black women? Y'all are telling me Black men are getting up every day deliberately trying to take us out?
Absolutely not.
Nope. Also, the other thing I wanted to add to that, if you want to talk about genocide, the one thing that I could point out is abortion, and it's doing exactly what it was meant to do, if that's the case. But there is a documentary called Ma'afa 21, for those who are not educated on why it was created to get rid of us and all of those things. Ma'afa 21 will open your eyes. Do you hear me? Because I felt differently before that, and I didn't know all of that information.
Correct. And then femicide would be generally understood to involve intentional murder of women because they are women. Broader definitions also include girls.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you read that last part again?
Broader definitions include any killings of women or girls.
Because they are what?
Because they are women. Because they're girls.
Yeah, I was going to say, when it comes down to it, that definition wouldn't even fit. Let's say
it wasn't. That's why she got mad and called me a bitch and dropped. She already knew intellectually she could not hang with me. Let me tell y'all this. I'm very open for discussion, for communication. I welcome people that have different opinions and thoughts than me. But the minute you have to turn around and you want to go to like, oh, you're a pick me or you're a bitch because I am able to support what I'm saying intellectually, and I don't have to suppress you, dismiss you, or be derogatory towards you, you already let me know that you have the comprehension of a kumquat. And again, whenever we get to this is the very thing I'm saying. These women that are so vocal, the Black women specifically that I'm seeing being so vocal about the 4B movement, they're quick to call any other woman that does not want to sign up with the movement. Well, now they're going to insult us and we're all pick-me's. This is crazy when now you're literally doing the same thing that you're saying that men are doing to us. Y'all are saying, oh, we're doing it because we want men to listen to us, but yet you won't listen to your fellow sister or to your fellow woman. Because let me be clear, I'm going to say woman, because baby, a woman like that is not a sister of mine. You're not my sister, and I don't want to be your sister. We're very different, and I'm fine with that. And I know somebody's going to feel some type of way about me saying that. Baby, I said what I said, and I mean I meant what I meant. I don't want to be your sister. There's no way that I would want to be friends or colleagues or in the same movement, but anyone that would treat me that way just because you can't answer a specific question. And when I challenged you about femicide and genocide, because those are the words that she used, because clearly she didn't know the definition of them, because if she knew the definition of them, there's no way she would have gotten up there with that talking point. Or maybe she's used to going into environments and spaces where the people don't know the definitions of the words. So she's able to spout that kind of bull crap, and there's nobody to challenge her that actually understands what's going on.
Okay, please, if y'all don't mind. And when you come up here, as the host has said, we can agree to disagree. But if you feel like you are not emotionally intelligent enough, or if this conversation is a bit too much, and you think it's going to escalate to where you have to be disrespectful and use profanity towards another individual or try to talk down on them, stay down there. Stay in the hallway. Don't come up here with that. Please don't come up here with that, because you will get dropped. Thank you. And blocked. Thank you.
Hey, host. I just wanted to say, because I started following you when I was on, because I'm always in Kev's live. I started following you because I like to. I really don't get in people's boxes except it's in Kev. But this conversation here, I wanted to ask you something, because I watch your videos. You talk about business, and I love business-minded people because they can kind of go with where I'm going when I hear people talk about generally Black women or generally Black men. So I want to ask you a question. As a woman in business, if I work for you and I told you that most people at the job are acting this way, or most of our customers are like this, you're going to ask me what percentage, and where am I getting that? Like you just asked the young lady, where are you getting those numbers from? What percentage? And so in business, what is a good percentage number that you think, in order to make an educated decision on a group of people, what percentage number do you feel you need? Is it 5% or 10% to be able to give you enough information for you to make an educated decision on which way you need to go with your business?
For me, it honestly is all going to be circumstantial. So for instance, if I'm looking at a customer satisfaction rate, I'm going to feel like we need to be at 80%. If I'm looking at a disapproval rate, if I feel like we're over 12%, you see what I'm saying? Then it's going to be a different decision. So it's really going to depend on the circumstance. If I'm trying to move into a new market and I'm looking at maybe like, I don't know, I want to look at the sales cycle or something like that. And I'm looking to hit, I don't know, maybe like a 3 to 7 or something like that. And I would like for that number to be at 42%. I can't just say there's a cut and dry percentage across the board, because it depends on the situation, what the goal and what the intent is, what I feel like is acceptable, you know what I mean, to which way I'm going to move, or what I need to work on, or, add, change, shift, whatever that may be.
Okay, so totally get you. So I want you to walk down this road with me. So if I came to you in any type of percentage to say, well, I only got 1%, I only surveyed, or my information is coming from 1% of any particular population, you're going to be like, wait a minute, that's not a good number for me to be able to say where we need to go. And I say that because when I hear Black men especially say that there are no good Black women out there, or these passport bros, I always ask everybody a simple question, and I have to leave because people can't make me realize their point. I said, I ask Black men, how many Black women do you know personally, that you personally know? Nobody says they know more than 5,000 or 10,000 Black women. And I say, okay. So you can't make a general statement about Black women or Black men, because there are 22 million Black women in the United States. In order to tell me that generally black women are this way, you need to know at least 2 million black women in order to say that most black women are like this. And then they'll go and say, well, I said, no, you're only can tell me what you've experienced in life. So your experience in life tells you that this is how black women are, not that this is how all black women are, or this is how all black women is. So you can't, and I always tell people, the argument is defeated for me when you try to generalize a race when you haven't got a true statistic on generally. And to me, you need at least 10% to tell me that this is how this race is. So that's why I always end arguments with people and say, come to me when you've surveyed 2 million black women, or you've interacted with 2 million black women. You can say black women are loud and this, and I'm like, where do you get those numbers from? How can you say this? Because I don't experience that. I don't experience loud black women. I don't experience that. And dudes like, oh, you got to be lying. No, I'm not. It's where I place myself. So
correct.
And black women. So I'm like, y'all want to criticize black women, and I'm speaking from a man when I talk to black men. Y'all want to say all black women this, but there are 22 million. So that means if you haven't experienced 2 million, what percentage of black women are you encountering? Because if you're encountering anything less than 10%, then you don't have a true definition of how black women are. You only saying black women where you grew up and raised, and then they go off and say something else. But I'm like, it's a true statement. And so that's why the 4B movement, I look at women and say, well, what percentage of black men are y'all deriving this from? I mean, do y'all know this many black men?
I mean, right, Mr. East, I'm on the same page. I'm on the same page. I will tell women that all the time. All black men are not cut from the same caliber of cloth. All black men are not villains. All black men don't want to hurt you, you know. And so that's why that young lady got so upset with me, because I was immediately, where did you get your research? Because she's probably not aware of what I do for a living. She probably has no idea of what I do for a living. So it's my job to stay on top of these numbers. I'm not a talking head. Y'all will notice I don't spend as much time on the app as other creators, because I'm actually outside doing ish. I'm outside working. Like I'm outside putting my money, my time, my hands, my information, my resources, my network into place to build things. I've actually been a part of building communities and infrastructure for a very, very long time. I've been out here teaching. I started teaching boys and girls at the age of 13 about finances, budgeting, mannerisms, etiquette, how to conduct themselves, right? How to move around. So I fortunately, in my experience, and this is why I said I can just speak from my life experience, and then some woman will come up here and tell me I'm a pick me and I live in a fairy tale world. Well, whatever. Okay, I would rather live in the sun than down in the mud like a pig.
Yeah, but it's not a fairy tale world, because like I tell people all the time, you can't yield any gains if you don't have the like I tell people all the time, men and women live numbers don't. And I tell people, if you can't produce me the numbers, I don't know 5,000 black women. I don't. And I challenge anybody to tell me that. So even if you know 5,000 black men or black women, you still don't even know 0.100% of black people, that gender. So people say, well, I'm just making a general statement. No, you're not. That's not even a general statement. A general statement is at least 10%. So you're not making a general statement. You're making based off of your experience in life, which really doesn't matter to somebody who don't live in your life. So when you get on TikTok and start trying to argue with people, you're only arguing from your environment, which tells me a lot about you and where you hang out at. So when you want to dog women or dog men, you're telling me that you're placing yourself in situations to where you encounter these people, and maybe you need to change your surroundings. And that goes back to blaming yourself and not blaming that particular gender or race. You need to blame yourself. And that's why I tell people, stop all this argument and let's talk like we got some sense. And let's figure out how we can get you to be around more positive people, or be around more people like that. And let's all stop arguing and creating movements and doing things when you don't even know the population.
But this is the thing. They can't be around more positive people, because reality, whenever we get into energies, right? People that are well, or in their process of trying to heal themselves or improve themselves, realistically, they're not going to be able to be inside of an environment with someone that's bringing in that level of toxicity. I don't know if you were in here before what just transpired. I was not rude to that girl. I did not call her a name. I didn't have a tone, an attitude. I simply asked her a question. She then said that Black women have an issue with genocide. And I said, no, we do not, because I know what the definition of genocide means. Then she immediately called me a pick-me and a bitch. Immediately. Right. And so that goes back to my point. When I see a lot of these women that are pro 4B, they are so quick to demonstrate the same violence, the same dismissal, and the same disrespect against other Black women that they're saying that Black men are visiting upon them. And I have been fortunate enough to have very positive experiences with Black men. I haven't experienced Black men trying to take me out of here just because I'm a woman. Most of the Black men I've encountered in my life, they've been very, very helpful towards me.
Thanks.
Can I say something?
Yeah, we're gonna let Big Bam go. Hold on, we're gonna let Big Bam go.
Yeah, Big Bam has been up here for a while.
And then Miss Kathy up, and then Mrs. Rose, you can go next. Thank you.
I'm here new. I really listened about. I don't.
Hold on, Miss Rose. It's Big Bam's. Big Bam has the floor.
Let me just say something. I'm neutral.
No, Big Bam has the floor. Big Bam has been up here before you.
Neutral. Hello. I don't speak the English you guys speak. I live.
She good though.
I live in Germany. I speak really good German. I come from Kenya. I am an African.
Big Bam, would you like to yield the floor to Rosemary? And if,
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Rosemary. Baby, you just can't come in here and do what you want to do, though. I don't care what she good for. That's not cool. Go ahead, Rosemary.
Yeah, I want to say something. I really want to say something. It's something that I'm doing in Germany that I should go back to Kenya and help everything and try to make the political problems in Kenya. I'm working on it. I work for an NGO. We don't talk about that. I want to talk about being a Black woman in a foreign country. And then many people, they believe that if I go to America, I'm going to get the best education. I'm going to make this, I'm going to make that. But why is this problem a Black African people and Black Americans, they don't even come together? At the end of the day, we are winning, having so much that we can't do in Africa, and people are not. White people are seeing it are saying that without Africa, we cannot live anymore. About your telephone or your computer or your system or what system is going on. What I don't understand, when we are Black and Black, love each other, respect each other, grow each other, we can do so much together. It does not matter if you are Black American, Black, I don't know, from South America, I don't know you. As long you are Black, you belong to the society. And then we can win this fucking shit white people. I cannot stop to do my NGO and believe that one day the Black Americans stop to hate the African. At the end of the day, the Black people who stays in America, the old who were brought like slaves, they were Blacks. Blacks should stop hating Africans and see what we have in Africa. And
girl, stop! We're not gonna do that because a lot of Africans in the diaspora get out here looking down on Black Americans every single day, and we're not gonna act like it's all kumbaya over there in the motherland just because everybody lives on the continent of Africa that they all get along, because they don't. That's part of the reason that their resources are great from them on a regular basis. That's part of the reason that they don't have as much development as they would like to. That's part of the reason that they're reliant on other countries right now to come in to help them build the infrastructure. So we're not going to sit here and act like every African, is in alignment, when a lot of us have had our own experiences. Okay, a lot of us have tons of stories and different things, and we're not going to negate the fact, that way back then. Again, this is why I don't like arguing about these types of things, because none of us were there. But we're not going to negate the fact that there were people who had the same skin tone as us, other melanated people, that participated in the enslavement of other melanated people and had no problem with profiting from it. So let's stop all that. That's an invalid argument. There were people on the continent of Africa that had no problem selling us, packaging us, okay, and putting us all in the ship for whatever gain it was going to give to them. It wasn't just Arabs enslaving us. It wasn't just Spaniards enslaving us. It wasn't just Europeans enslaving us. Okay. There were other people with melanin that live on the continent of Africa. Okay. That were first civilizations that were out here, had no problem selling other people that look like them as well. So that's so all, if we're going back, we're going way back to when. Okay, you can even look in the Bible. Y'all spam me. They over here they just flagged me for hate speech. Y'all spam me with 1 cent gives. We already know. And Mod, y'all go ahead and block old girl. We ain't got no time for this. We ain't got no time for this. Again, I don't have a problem having conversation, but don't get mad at me because I'm able to make a valid point. Don't be out here trying to get my stream taken down and all this other kind of stuff and report it because I'm able to make a valid point. But we're not finna sit here and act like just because you are on the continent of Africa and you have melanated skin that you're kumbaya with every other black person on the planet Earth. That's asinine now. Come on now. That's asinine.
Very true. And then I feel like to say Black Americans were slaves. No, we came from Africa. You know what I mean? Our ancestors did.
Child, you have so many Black people that live in America that are indigenous to America that got enslaved after wars and battles and stuff like that. Had nothing like. Child, look, y'all better go read some books. Y'all better go to some museums. Y'all better go do some research. Y'all better go to some reservations and talk to some people. Y'all better go and do a lot. She gone with it, but I got a violation magically when she was gone. Like I said, baby, y'all spam my chat. Mods, make sure y'all gonna block her. We don't have time for that. Okay. Again, if y'all got a difference of opinion, it's fine. But if you say something that I don't agree with, I'm absolutely positively gonna speak on it. The same way you're entitled to your thought process, your opinions, and your ideology, I'm entitled to mine as well.
Host, may I say something?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I believe I was
I'm happy to wait for my turn. I don't want to get out of
No, wait.
Is it Kathy? Riri said Kathy. Riri said Kathy is next. You come in after Kathy.
Yeah, Big Bam had yielded his full to.
Oh yeah, Big Bam sure did. He yielded to Rosemary. I apologize. Thank you, Riri.
Thank y'all, because we all got a lot to say. But again, y'all, let's be respectful. We can agree to disagree, y'all. But this is a hot topic and it's a sensitive subject. However, we gonna respect the host and her platform. Do you hear me? We are going to respect the host and the platform. And if she speaks, please kindly put your microphone on or just text it in the comments.
They don't have to put it on mute. Like we can go back and forth, but we ain't gonna be on this side. Don't get salty and be over here reporting me and carrying on. That's childish. Okay, that's childish.
Okay. Go ahead, Big Man.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say, I kind of wanted to respond a little bit to what East Texas said slightly first. So I have to give a little pushback to what you said, just off the fact that I think a lot of times when people speak in general, it's built off of a consensus, right? So yeah, you can know 5,000 people, right? That doesn't mean that you truly know those 5,000 people and what they stand for. If that was true, it wouldn't be people on this app every day talking about how they got tricked and how people put masks on and how people told them one thing and they said they was this, and then it turned out there was something different. But all of a sudden, when we talk about anecdotals, you know the true hearts and intentions of all 5,000 people you know. That's not true. So how you build a consensus, you don't have to know 5,000 people. You don't have to know more than 5,000 people. Because this app that you're on right now, it connects you with millions of people on a daily basis. So if you come on this app, for instance, and you see a post and it says F all black men, if you see 10 million likes and shares on that app, you can kind of build a consensus of how the majority of those people feel, right? So you don't have to know even 5,000 of those people. It's a consensus. So that 10 million people told you how they feel about F black men. They supported it. So that's where people build consensus from. But that's also why it's so important, number one, for you to understand what you're aligning with, who you're aligning with, and what you are perpetuating when you speak. Because that same influence that you have to those 10 million people, you have the power to indoctrinate those people. And I'll land here, right? When it comes to what we're talking about right now, right? This movement, I think it's very important for people to investigate the people who are in attendance, and especially the people who are aligning these movements.
Mhm.
Okay, 4G, 4B, all that. Find out the principles that they stand on. Don't just hear somebody say something, you like it, and now you in full support. You might be supporting a demon, right?
Facts.
Just because they said something you like. But it's funny to me that those same people are like, every time we hear you got in a relationship with somebody who you thought was good, and they turned out to be bad, but you gonna trust that same judgment with an entire movement? maybe maybe slow it down. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't make the best decision. You feel me? Because if the reason you started hating men was that you had terrible decision making skills, probably don't just jump up and join the movement.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, call me crazy. And like I said, I'm not gonna be long. I'm gonna say this last thing. And I think this person is in here, right? There are things that I have heard about this movement directly from the person who is supporting and advocating this movement that I know for a fact, if you align on the other side, you shouldn't be a part of it. And it's not fear. This is straight from the horse's mouth. If you are a Christian, okay, a Christian woman, meaning you support Jesus Christ, if you are in this movement, you are stupid.
I wouldn't call them stupid, but I would definitely say misinformed, you know. And you've been in here, you've seen how quick, like, they already trying to get my page turned down, trying to get my account taken away, calling me all out of my name and stuff. But the truth is the truth. And when we boil down to it, again, the women in America that are trying to use 4B to leverage it as a way to force men. Oh my God, Laughing B, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. These women that are trying to use it to force men to shift their personality or characteristics, right? When we really think about it, well, then you should not be a part of the 4B movement at all, because if we're looking at the crux of it, if we're looking at the core of it, especially from the South Korean woman's perspective, they don't want to be involved with heterosexual men.
Right.
They're committed. They are committed to. These women are doing everything that they can to even shift their physical appearance so that they, you know what I'm saying, are not conforming to, anything that a man would find desirable. A lot of the women in America that are like 4B, 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 if you told them that they had to go without their wigs and their weaves, baby, they out tomorrow.
I ain't gonna lie to you though.
So, but I'm saying I heard these people literally refer to themselves as Antichrist.
Yes, that's true.
Right? They refer to themselves as Antichrist. They refer to God as Sky Daddy. Mm-hmm. They denounce Christianity and they directly oppose Christianity. So if you are a Christian and you are a part of this movement, I think address yourself.
Spicer, you're out here saying 4B women dress and do what they want. Yes, and they have decided to shave their heads. They've decided to have mastectomies. They have decided to alter their appearance of anything that they feel like would be aesthetically pleasing to a man or attractive to a man, to alter their appearance to the opposite of that.
Yes, that's part of the course.
That's a part of it. So again, while you're over here talking about 4B women do it with it. No, for these women in the 4B movement and the real 4B movement that are not out here playing games because it's something trendy, like the women in America are treating it like are treating it like a Birkin bag or something. Oh yeah, I'm a B4B, I'm B4B too, girl. No, they really are not. They are really not about it. A lot of them haven't researched it. A lot of these women, if you ask them what are the B's, they could not even tell you what the 4 B's are.
And like the thing is though, like I say, like if you understand the tenets of the whole movement.
Miss Kathy was next.
Oh my bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was shopping. I couldn't say nothing.
That's okay. All right. So, two things, and I'm not for the 4B movement. That is something, a lot of times, you just can't grab something that started with another culture, that there's a totally different culture, and then you grab it, not understanding the ramifications of what that will do with your own culture. And the last thing that we need to be doing here in this country as African Americans is having our population
decline.
Decrease. Because for starters, we are stunted. We're not progressing as far as our numbers in the first place. We've been at like 12, 13% for a couple of decades. And we need our voting power to keep from going backwards. That's that. But the word you were using, feminine millionaire, the word that you were using as far as with the genocide, in the Bible, there are two types of unalivings, okay? There is the physical, but the Bible also speaks of where you can unalive. It talks about not unaliving a person's influence, a person's reputation,
True.
the way other people view another person, and words have power. And in social media, when it comes to social media, not just social media, media period. Okay. And in fact, I was looking at, this goes way back because Ted Koppel was the one, some of y'all don't even know who I'm talking about, but he was the one, he was interviewing two executives with the networks. One was ABC and NBC, I think, and they were the top dogs. And one of the things that they talked about, they said, if you want to change the way people think, and control the way they think, control the media. And they start talking about the power of that medium. And so what horrified me, and it started where I really got horrified, was with, what's the guy, Williams, what is his name? Kevin something or whatever. I don't know if it's Williams or whatever. The guy that would berate women. He died.
Samuels. Okay.
Samuels. And it horrified me because of the way he was talking, and there was energy that went out with those words. And a lot of young men were listening to the all of the toxicity and the negativity and all of that was coming, that energy, and their ears were listening, and they didn't even realize that they were the way they saw women was being altered, was being twisted and tainted, and all of that because of those words and how he dealt with women. And so when I got on, and then I'm gonna land it so someone else can get on. And Mr. East, I appreciate your comment that you made. Because I've been screaming it from the mountaintop since I've been on here, that you have to question, where do you live and where are you going? Where you seeing all these women you're talking about? Because these women you describe, and I don't see them anywhere around me, because the women that I see in my circle and around me, they're amazing. But anywho, going back to when I got on TikTok, and all I was hearing was all of this negativity and all of this energy and all of this that was coming towards our Black women. Mind you, that people from other nations could hear it. Mind you, that young men, other men could hear it. They're either complaining about the fact that Black women are wearing wigs. Well, if Black women up and decide not to wear wigs, they're going to complain about the fact that she wears makeup. If she takes off all of her makeup, then they're going to find something, going to complain, well, she's got a good job, she's independent. Then they're going to complain that she's independent. They call it too independent, but what does that even mean? They're adulting. So there's a problem with that. And that's the reason, okay, well, if there's divorce in America, then it's a problem, irregardless of considering what is going on with these men, with our men, that the women are getting rid of them. If she's not doing that, they're complaining about the fact that if she stays with the man, then they're going to complain about the fact that they're heavy, that we're meaty, that we have a little, a weight on us. And then if it's not that, it's just going to be one thing or the other. There was this agenda, and I feel that it is a form of genocide, if we can say that word.
Y'all hit me up with 1 cent gifts, y'all. 1 cent gifts. Put your favorite fruit in the comments.
Oh, okay. So I won't say that word, but it is a killing of that right there. All of this will alter the way people see us and view us. And if you listen to it enough, it's going to alter the way you see yourself. And so I personally, I said, if I get into one of these things and where there's a host who is sponsoring this and hosting this, I'm going to unfollow, because I'm not going to be a part of your platform and growing your platform so that you can, change the way people see us. And it may even backfire, because I've been hearing people from other countries get on and they are saying how horrible it is that Black men have no respect for Black women. It's like, where is the honor for your women?
But see, I can't say that, because now there's generalizing and saying that, that's painting these Black men with a brush. Like, there are men in there are men in every single group that don't have a respect for women or don't have a respect for themselves. Literally, this 4B movement started in South Korea, and it's about these women being able to have some type of autonomy and human rights. So we can't just say, like, okay, this is a Black man thing. And then in the panel, there are several Black men in these boxes who immediately, came to my defense, immediately tried to put some respect inside of the room. So even in this conversation, there are Black men here. Shout out to Tone, shout out to Bam, shout out to Mr. East Texas, shout out to Slim. They have my back all the time. Randomly, I could be anywhere on the internet, and if one of them sees I'm in distress or I need some type of help or some type of backup, they're there for me, Johnny on the spot. In my real life, like tangible offline life, right? A lot of the opportunities that I got in my business came from Black men being able to connect me to the right person or help me get a contract, or somebody that told me, hey, you need to stay away from him. Don't ever be by yourself with that man. You know what I'm saying? Young woman, because they knew what was up. Black men, my daddies, my uncles and stuff, when I didn't even have the money to pay employees for my company, would come and sit at my events if I was working 16, 17, 18 hours a day, just to make sure, things operated correctly. And us as a group of women weren't out there alone. So the reality is, like, you may have some people with these mini microphones and they do have negative views or negative thoughts about Black women, but there are also Black men that have very positive platforms, and they literally are talking about how we need one another. They're literally, cheering Black women on for getting their degrees and running companies and having their money together. They're out here trying to give Black women advice about how to find the right type of man, or how not to be abused, or how not to be used. The thing is, Black women typically tend to gravitate towards the negative part for combative. Not all Black women, but when we're looking at on the media, right? Because sensationalism drives numbers. And so literally, if we had more of us, like for instance, you brought up Mr. Kevin Samuels, right? So Kevin Samuels actually had a lot of content. He was on Black men's necks. He was on their tops. He was on their heads, actually, for years. It was when the Black women started to respond to some of the other stuff, it brought a swell and a lot of attention to that content. So for us, I would say, for Black women that are moving, this is why for me, I choose to highlight Black men that are, out here, good pillars in our community, Black men that are educated, that are well-spoken, Black men that I see being fair, Black men that I see operating in integrity on a regular basis. That's who I choose to align myself with, because for us as women, if we gave as much attention to these guys as we do to the ones that we say that we have an issue with, well, then that wouldn't be highlighted, right? Us as women have a lot of power. And when it comes to digital side, especially on the media, we're the number one consumers and we're the number one purchasers. Also, whenever you're in a relationship or in a household, Black women typically are the decision makers of what's being purchased inside of that household, right? So for us, we have to kind of figure out, where do we want to put our attention? Because like you were talking about words, right? And energy and, your character and all of that is true. I agree with you 100%. So all that boils down to, you find what you focus on. And so right now there seems to be a highlight, right? Or a push towards these men that are very negative. Like Black men, literally, even the CDC recently did a study. Number one, when it came to fatherhood, Black men are also the most likely to marry a single mother. Black men, right, are also right. Like there are these positive things that are happening about Black men, but you don't hear it because a lot of the women that have this agenda that's divisive against our community as a whole, they don't want to highlight that. Like the way that chick was in here earlier, she was trying to spout out some domestic violence numbers, right? She took a portion of the study, but they never ever say that 1 out of 4 Black men are also experiencing violence against them in romantic relationships. So this doesn't mean that it's just a Black man problem. You see what I'm saying? Like this is a problem. It's not a gender specific. This is a problem with Black men and Black women. This is a gender. This is gender neutral. This is not a Black men are all this way or Black women are all this way. And so we gotta, like, if we're gonna put out these numbers, or we're gonna put out these statistics, or if we're gonna put out these facts, we have to tell the truth. That woman, she basically exploded at me because I called her out. She was trying to say that Black women have a genocide problem with Black men. Black men are not intentionally waking up trying to eradicate us because we're women. That you know what I'm saying? That it's just not true. A lie is a lie, and I don't care what people feel about it. Just because you feel a certain type of way does not change the truth. And so there's so many Black women and Black men on this app that are like very, very balanced. They just don't get the shine because they're not agitating people. And so because they're having like balanced conversations, because they're being respectful, because they're talking with some sense, I scroll through their rooms every day. They'll have 10 people in there, 35 in there. I may see one, you know what I'm saying, that I have 600 or 700 on occasion. But a lot of times when it's a lot of rah and a lot of ruckus going on, when now you got thousands of people in there with some Black man that's a blubbering idiot, you know, or he has a deep hatred for women, or he's a part of this divisive agenda too against the community. Well, now he's plastered all over. People are duetting and stitching his videos. They're doing think pieces against him. They're doing comments underneath. But when you have a Black man out here saying sound and stable things, baby, he's not getting no traction like that.
Yeah, and you know what? And I do want to say this, that and I do want to change my wording, that there's some men out there as far as with the negativity and all of that. But there is one guy, I don't know if you all ever heard, if you've heard of him. He's the public offender. Anybody familiar with him?
Mm-mm.
Oh, honey, he is, when I tell you, you cannot come on his platform berating, degrading, women. He's all about, and I love him. So I am looking for other platforms like that. So if you know of any.
Upside, you know the upside of what you do.
Hold on, Slim and Tone, both of y'all are talking at the same time. Slim, you really Slim. You are super duper low. I don't know if you can.
Let me drive real quick. Let me drive. Come back. Just
Okay. I'll say your spot. I got you.
Wait, we can come now.
I was just gonna say, hopefully I don't say what he's about to say, but you know that man isn't married to a Black woman, right? Not only that, but he also berates and does the same thing that Millie was talking about, that the women tend to do to Black men. He does that to them.
I have not heard him do that to Black men. I haven't. When I'm watching, I have not heard it. But what he does do is, if someone comes on to try to do it to women, he will stop them. But no, I've never picked up that he was berating men, because I would not listen to him if he does that, because I'm like millionaire, female millionaire. I don't like when they do that, because that's not all Black men. So I never picked that up. But then again, I never really.
Hey, Lower.
Come on, bro.
Y'all hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Slim.
Y'all hear me now?
I can hear you a lot better.
So look, the one thing I'm gonna tell you with this, though, try and defend women. Yes, he does, but he also partakes in a behavior that is toxic to women. He lets y'all get up there belittle and berate men, which in real life, that's a type of behavior for y'all take off of the app. Any behavior that you participate and partake in for too long, you will end up in that shit off app, part of your everyday life. Public is not in favor of Black women or any women at all. He's in favor of himself. He's trying to get a pat on the back and validation for him unpacking misogyny. But at the exact same time, the only reason he unpacked misogyny was because he was going to lose his wife. He don't give a fuck about y'all. And the only reason why he's doing it for y'all is because he get the exact same validation that he would get if he didn't lose his wife.
Exactly.
That nigga is not okay.
No, that's not. I've been watching him for a little bit, and that's not what I take from what he's saying. He is not gonna get it from him because you. He's more about.
We all know he gonna get it from him.
Well, I would say this. Let me hold on, y'all. Let me say this. I don't want to use my platform to talk about somebody that I don't even know or haven't even heard of away. So I could care less what he's over there doing. Like, I literally have no idea who this person is. So let's move back to our topic. I'm sure, like, if that's what Slim and Tone are saying, like, they probably have checked him out. They're pretty thorough about people. But like I said, I have, when I say I have no idea who this person is, no idea. Never seen a piece of the content a day before in my life. I have no idea. So I don't want to go back and forth about him and what he's doing or not doing, like, because I literally have never even seen the content. Y'all could plop this man in front of me right now and I'd have no idea who he is. No clue. No clue.
He's not really. But yeah, I love us. You know, I love women, love my black women, especially. And if I say I love y'all, that means I'd marry one of y'all. Has he done that? But I'm gonna leave it there. Has he done that?
I don't know. I don't know. When I say I don't know, no clue who this person is. No clue. No earthly idea.
Check the stage out real quick. Yeah.
I don't know from what y'all saying if I need that in my algorithm. So I'm not sure.
Don't put that clown in your algorithm. Don't do it. You'll be bamboozled like this other sister talking.
I don't know.
You think it's a coincidence all of us saying the same thing?
No. No, I don't. No, I don't. But like I said, I'm not familiar with the content. You know what I'm saying? To say anything about it, I have no idea. I have no idea who this person is.
Well, where she was coming from when she started bringing up Kevin Samuels, and then you brought up the Bible, man, people will cherry pick everything. Feel me? People are cherry picking parts of the 4B movement that make sense to them, and then they don't want to do the other parts that actually matter to the movement. People gonna cherry pick any and every goddamn thing just to make it fit their narrative because they have an agenda. Y'all gotta start paying attention to people with agendas and people with purpose. People with purpose don't have agendas. Purpose means that I'm gonna make sure that everybody understands. Agendas, they want you to be, you need to pick a side. Purpose has empathy and compassion on people who don't feel a certain type of way, right? Who don't see the point. Agendas, we gonna call you a pygmy. We gonna call you a motherfucking a predator. We gonna call you out your name.
They gonna call you a simp. They gonna call you all kinds of stuff.
Simp,
yeah.
Right. A purpose, it'd be like, all right, I see you not where I'm at yet, but I don't want you to feel like you don't belong here, because if what I'm doing is beneficial to everyone that could get involved, I'm gonna make sure that everybody is able to listen and able to hear and receive. Anybody with an agenda, they don't give a fuck about that. They sign up for my movement. They are tyrants. They are tyrants. A tyrant with a noble cause is still a tyrant.
But anyway, when she came up there.
Hey, wife. I'm sorry, Shauna. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You can hear the anger in her voice, and I feel like her anger is misdirected. If she wants to talk about, I would say our people, period. I'm gonna go back to the abortion thing. I'm sorry. Do you know that people will pay the other half for people or pay for the whole thing? People donate money to pay for Black women's abortions because they have recordings of people saying, "Oh yeah, they don't need to, reproduce or anything like that." So y'all better wake up and do some research about this whole white supremacy thing, because it's a whole, when they say it's a system, it's a whole system, and it ain't working for our benefit.
I got a question in the chat because I've seen several of you guys saying, that you were part of the 4B movement before you knew what was going on in Korea. Can you explain to me exactly how you guys were executing in the 4B movement? Because if you're going to say because you were celibate or you're abstaining, that's not 4B movement. I practiced celibacy for 5 years, or abstaining, whatever you want to call it. But it wasn't because I did not want to interact with heterosexual men. That's because for me, I believe that physical intimacy is a deep spiritual act. So I didn't want to have anybody connected to me or any other entities connected to me on a spiritual side. I still was dating men. Okay. I still was like, I have aspirations to be a wife and be married one day. I need y'all to understand, like, and I'm not sure if y'all understand that these women in the 4B movement, they have committed, like when we look at South Korea, they have committed to not interacting with heterosexual men. They don't want to have babies. They don't want to date. They don't want to, you know what I'm saying? They don't want marriage. This is not what they want to do. They've eliminated beauty products, physical standards. They're saying we would rather die. We would rather not continue our people than to bring them into this, because these ladies are actually fighting for human rights. They actually do have a femicide problem there. It's not the same for us in America. It's not the same. It is not the same for us in America. So a lot of the American women that are here, like, oh, I'm going to be a part of 4B. I think the 4B is great. To be honest, y'all are really distracting from these women's movement and what they are really honestly trying to accomplish. Because it's very watered down here. And almost any think piece that I've heard with a woman in America speaking about 4B, they're trying to use it to leverage. They're trying to use it to leverage against men, to get men to change their behaviors or their treatment towards us as women, which fundamentally still means that you are desiring to be in some form of a relationship with men. Which that at a baseline means that you can't be a part of the 4B movement, because these women are saying, we tired, we opting out.
And I honestly though, actually, that's exactly what they're doing in Korea. But it's a movement where they're taking the extreme until change, right? It's until change, until they get political recognition and societal recognition. None of it is in the
But Slim, that's very different than a woman being upset about somebody not wanting to date her, or you feeling like you're not being heard in a conversation. Those are very, very different things. You can't put those on the same being an American woman, and a Black American woman, and a Black American woman that travels frequently to other countries and continents, I am very well aware of what other women are dealing with. The other women that are real, they don't even having this conversation is not an option for some women in other countries. They're not allowed to have social media. They're not allowed to go to school. They'll be unalive because they want to go and get an education. They're not, you don't understand. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Millie, can I ask you a question? I wanted to relate something to, and hopefully, this goes by right. Y'all remember the BLM movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
In its intention, we wanted something, right? We were asking for some type of recognition when it comes to the police brutality and things like that. And remember what happened right after that? People started saying something. They started saying, well, all lives matter. Blue lives matter.
Exactly.
It was a protest to our protest. They literally took what we did because we had a problem, right? And we wanted it to be solved. We wanted something to be done about it. But then they said, well, no, all lives matter. Or blue lives matter, even though the same shit that's happening to Black men ain't happening to the cops like that, right? And we understand that, but they still did it, and they did their own spinoff and perverted the whole thing. This was before we found out that the whole movement was a scam, but pretty much the analogy, they have perverted this movement. They have perverted this movement, and they've taken it and used it for something else. Like you said, they sensationalize things. And this is why we're saying, let them have their movement. They're literally, this is all they have. This is all they have. They can't do
Tone, I've literally seen think pieces. I've read different articles from women in South Korea. I've sat inside of some of their discussions where literally they are actually asking, specifically American white women, they're like, get your hands off of it. They're literally saying that y'all are weakening what we're doing. Like you're putting a like an almost unserious spin on it. And I just think sometimes us that live in America, we're inside of our bubbles that we don't understand like what's really happening in other parts of the world.
But feminists, they understand. They understand. Think about what happened with the Trump hat, right? Everybody remember the Trump hat, "Make America Great Again," right?
Mm-hmm.
What did we as a people start doing? We started making hats like Kevin Gates, "Make America Trap Again." It's Rolling 60 talking about making America crip again. Like we did it because we wanted to make a mockery of the movement. So we know how that works on both sides.
Exactly.
That's like you saying, "Oh, I like the color blue, so I'm a crip." Okay, go to California and say that and see if them folks don't ask you where you from. Like we under it's several different aspects of our life and our culture that we understand this, right? But now we're gonna act like we don't get it. That's bullshit, man. They know.
Factual. Let Wife Life chime in because she's been up here for a minute, and then I saw her hands up in the chat, and then lower, and then Slim, you come back in. Shauna, I'm gonna drop you down, but stay in the queue so I can bring up some of the other people that are waiting. Okay.
So I'm a man, but thank you, feminine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's Coach Cooper.
Oh, it's Coach Cooper. I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm using somebody else.
Hey, Coach.
How you doing, Chris?
You're doing well. Hey, Coach Cooper. I'm so sorry about that.
You good. It's all right. I agree with Tone and Big Bam. The 4B movement over here is not doing anything. Half of the women who were talking about it, most of the panels that were running it, now they're talking about relationships and sprinkle on their platform.
Exactly.
So this isn't a serious movement. This is a movement that a lot of women are just using to try to be like, ha, man, guess what? Since we're undesirable because we slept with so many people, now we're locking up our box and you're talking about it. So that means you really care about our box. Like it's just self-affirmation. This is them using this as a form of self-affirmation to get attention because they feel ignored. That's really what it is at the end of the day. And some of these women are serious because some of these women are on the other team. And I think y'all know what I mean by the other team. In fact, the 4B movement in Korea is now essentially taken over by lesbians. It's not even straight women anymore. It's just a bunch of lesbians. And there was an article that was put out by a Korean publicist, and she was basically saying that a lot of the women in that movement discovered their lesbianism. So it's these women aren't doing enough research. The movement's not gonna last. Like I said, the majority of albinos. No, I don't want to say the word because I get bananaed all the time. So lesbians.
Hold on. You that's misinformation at this point in time. It's not taken over by those women. Feel me? It's not.
No,
bro.
It is, bro.
Bro, I've been researching it before. I
that as well. That they are major force.
Yeah, I haven't. They have definitely come and connected to it. I won't say it's taken over, but they have definitely connected to it. Kind of like the way NAMBLA keeps trying to connect to the LGBTQ here in America. Does everybody know what NAMBLA? Does everybody know what NAMBLA is? I'm not. Yeah. Okay. If in the chat, y'all go and Google it because I'm definitely not gonna say what it stands for here, but it's very, very sick. Okay, that's what I'm going to tell you. And since the 80s, on YouTube, y'all said, no, go Google it real quick. Since the 80s, they've been trying to connect to the LGBTQ. And y'all know, I don't know if y'all noticed with the LGBTQ, they keep adding letters and now they just got the plus and all this other kind of stuff. They're trying to tie into it. So I will say this, the L community has absolutely tried to connect to the 4B. I won't say it's taken over, but I definitely will say that they have absolutely tried to connect to it for sure.
So feminine. I'll send you the article, but it said that these women discovered that their lesbianism within the movement. I mean, think about it. These are women going to the extremes so that they don't conform to the male gaze at all. So they said 2020 is when that happened. So. Like think about it. So the majority of these women were discarded women, right? They didn't get married at a certain age and they were considered leftovers. And women, when they're in that position in Korea, They don't have access to jobs. They're not respected. They don't get treated well. This is the reason. This demographic of women were the ones who were highly oppressed. It's not all Korean women. I lived in Korea.
They're definitely oppressed. I don't want to call them leftovers. I don't want to call them leftovers.
They're leftover women, but that's what they're referred to by Korean men.
Yeah, bro, that's the same way that black men refer to certain women over here, bro. Nah,
exactly.
Bro.
Right, or they'll say that women here have hit the wall or something like that. So I don't like using that type. I don't like using that type of terminology because that again goes back into the divisiveness, that's really hurting us overall. Right? Like, and again, for all the ladies, y'all like on 4B, go off with your bad self, be 4B, but don't get out here and be mad at us women that don't want to conform to 4B. Because I started off, as I told y'all, as black people, even when you're looking at our population, I'm not going to be participating in anything that's going to advance the eradication of my people. I have no desire to be a part of that. And I'm glad that you guys do, but there's a lot of us, I'm telling you, it's a lot of other women, they feel the way that I feel right now. A lot of times they are just more silent because they don't want to be attacked the way people have seen me be attacked. They don't want to be canceled. They don't want people doxing them. They don't want people driving by their home, sending them death threats and all of this other kind of stuff because they're a woman who is saying this is not something that I want to be a part of.
And to make a correction, just so I'm not, hold on, Slim, right quick. Just so I'm not misunderstood, I wasn't saying that these women were trash because they weren't married. I was using the term leftover women because that's the verbiage that they use to refer to those women.
Yeah, of course, bro. Anytime there's a movement where it's causing problems, bro, people gonna have derogatory things to say. Like in 4B, the 4B in Korea movement, bro, it's about them women being recognized politically, bro. Politically, economically, and socially as fucking human beings, bro. All of them women ain't recognized as human beings over there, feel me? A lot of them not. And just because some women get married and they accept the systems of the country, that don't mean that they actually treat it right. It just sometimes people become okay with abuse. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people look at my life ain't the same as your life. You know what I'm saying? So I could be okay with that. Like to diminish their movement by calling them women leftovers, bro, and not like politically, bro. They be it be shit like happening with them as in circumcision at birth, so they can't feel pleasure from SEX, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Just because they don't want them to become more masculine. Shit like that happening to them over there. You hear me?
Right.
Like, don't diminish their movement, you know what I'm saying? Because you looking at the movement over here in America, the 4B West movement, yeah, it's kind of like to antagonize the same way that the Passport Bro movement was to antagonize. But like diminishing one to try and validate your stance on another is fucked up. Feel me? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's not what I did. I just literally said I used the verbiage that they use to refer to those.
Yeah, he was saying that that's the vernacular that they use over there.
That's what they use to dehumanize the women.
Yeah, I get you, but that if you just listen to what you just said, that's what they use to dehumanize the women. That should let you know it's a problem in itself.
Yeah, I know that, bro. But you got it.
Yeah, well, y'all are both agreeing. Y'all just saying it in different ways.
Yeah, hey, Lower.
Hey, Lower.
Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing, ladies?
Good. How you doing?
I've been all right. If you Google 4B, right? It's you know, 1 second, put it back up. If you look at the very definition, which has changed in the last 2 days because I've been reading it over and over, right?
In fact, it did, though, Lord. It didn't say no heterosexual at first. That shit just changed.
No. I'm telling you, I read it over and over, and it did have no heterosexual in it.
Oh, snap. Oh, snap.
When I read it the first time, it didn't have that shit.
No. It says it renounce dating men, marriage, sex with men. It's still there. So
yeah, Bihan, Beshoshan, Bionye, and Beksexo. And y'all, I do not speak South Korean, so that's my best attempt at trying to pronounce, but those are the B's. Bihan is for marriage, Bishoshan is for childbirth, Bionye is dating, and Beksexo is physical intimacy.
Yeah, I ain't never seen the sexual part in there. Now I'm starting to see like people playing with this shit. They making a mockery of this shit.
No, I read it over and over, and I told everybody to go Google it. It was definitely there, but it's still there, but it's worded different. Renounce dating men, marriage, sex with men, and having children. Sex with men is right there in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
So whether we can play with it or not, black women, if you take part in this, it sounds like a lesbian racist group. If anything that takes away from us having children, moving our culture to the next generation, that's racism.
Yep.
However you slice it up, if we talk about not bringing our generations into the future by having children and heterosexual marriages, that is racist against our people. We see every day that they're shipping in new people every day that's watering down our votes. And now the sisters talking about hopping on a group that say we're not going to have children. So if we don't have children, we're going to lose all political power in the future.
Hold on, y'all. Let me explain this for those of you in the comments that are giving the questions about what Laura is saying with racism. He is accurate. So you guys can trace this all the way back to the days when they introduced birth control. They literally introduced it as a way to eradicate Black women and Mexican women. They said that we were having children at an alarming rate. They did the numbers and they realized that quickly that they were going to be the minority in the United States. So when they introduced birth control, they went and they introduced it inside of the Black church because a lot of Black people at the time were still connected to church as a way to push it. It ended up backfiring it though, because white women ended up taking a liking to it, the fact that they had more control over the amount of children that they could have. Also, you can find where the government, and they knew what was going on, that they were giving Black women hysterectomies without Black women knowing. They were tricking them. They were thinking that they were coming in for checkups. They were thinking that they were coming in for other procedures, and they were giving them hysterectomies so that, in fact, the childbirth could stop. And this absolutely positively was motivated by racism. Anyone comparing you to animals and saying that we need to eradicate y'all because you're a problem or control the population of Black people. So that is what he means. So this movement absolutely says no procreation, no sex, and no childbirth with heterosexual men. Okay, no procreation. Again, like I stated, I'm not for anything that's going to eradicate my race. I'm not for anything that's going to eradicate my people. Y'all know I've not shifted about that. Any of you guys that have asked me about this, I've told you why I'm not for the movement and why I don't feel like it's a part of our fight. And also, when you look at other groups of women, Black women have had many issues. Black women have needed help from so many other people, and none of these other groups of women have come to our aid. None of them have jumped on our bandwagon. None of them have jumped on our movements. Okay, they come, they use us to get whatever it is that they need, and they discard us. And this has happened over and over and over and over and over in history. So if y'all want to sign up for it, woohoo, do what you're doing, but don't be out here looking crazy when they discard you. Don't be out here looking crazy whenever you need to call on another group of women and none of them have time. None of them want to do think pieces. None of them want a panel. None of them want to rally. None of them want to participate because it's good for them inside of their communities and their households.
And if you go to the Wikipedia article, that's why when I read it first, because it break down every part of it, the Escape the Corset movement, it break down the South Korea's Me Too movement, it break down everything. It don't say nothing about non-heterosexual. It just said that they are abstaining and choosing singlehood over subscribing to patriarchal norms. That's the reason why I say this.
That's because that's Wikipedia. That's why.
No. We can use them.
Like everybody that when you hear certain arguments, bro, that's everybody putting their own spin on it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Some of these people
I just read the definition. Would you explain to us, Slim, if I'm reading it wrong? What does
the picture in my profile is directly from the West 4B movement website.
Yeah, see, we're not talking about West 4B movement. I'm talking about the 4B, the original movement. You know what I'm saying?
No, we're talking about 4B. Yeah, we don't really care about
with 4B West. That shit bullshit.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. This is the thing. If you say it's not in there and you're looking at the Wikipedia, what does sex with men mean, brother? Wouldn't if it wasn't about lesbianism, wouldn't it just say sex?
Nah, like, all right, so look, if you really wanted to be, if you want to break it down, like, so the South Korean movement was more so because they wanted to be seen outside of their reproductive organs and as pleasure for men, which is they're fighting the patriarchal standard, right? Not necessarily saying that they want women, they're saying that they want to be validated by being something other than just their sexual organs. Now, when you break it down to the 4B West lady, we already can see that she has an ulterior motive and an angle and an agenda. You hear me? So I'm not even focused on her. I'm in support of what the women want in 4B in South Korea. Feel me? Y'all want to be treated like human beings. I fuck with that. Feel me? But the 4B women over here, you know what I'm saying? Some of these women are like, this not the first move for black women in America to have something like this, but 4B Western put an extra spin and twist on it. When you look at the black divestment movements over here in the United States of America, it was divest, get yourself together, you know what I'm saying, so that you don't have to put a man at the center of your motherfucking life, but you can actually love yourself and love a man properly without forgetting about yourself. Now, this 4B West shit.
Wait, hold on. Slim, you know,
4B West shit. Hold on.
It's not 4B West. Wait. You didn't talk about 2 minutes. You notice you didn't answer my question, right? I asked what sex with men means.
Sex with men mean you not having sex. That's abstinence.
No. That's not what it means.
No, it specifically says heterosexual, so that does not mean that a homosexual relationship is off limits or queer relationship is off limits.
That's why I see that 4B West shit is on some more shit. Feel me? It's antagonistic.
No, that's not 4B West. That's 4B.
No, that's 4B West, bro. Look at what she got on there.
All you gotta do is Google it, brother.
All you gotta do is Google it. Got on there. Women of the West 4B movement aim to uphold. That's what it's saying.
I didn't look up West. I just looked up 4B movement. And if you look on Wikipedia, it reads exactly what I said.
Also, Slim, there was some misinformation. You said the divestors was about finding healthy, happy relationships. No, divesting is going to YT men or men outside of black people. The one you're talking about, the one that's about work is decenter men. That one is about working on yourself. Divesting is getting rid and discarding black men.
Yeah. Okay. You might got me on that. I'm just saying.
Oh, sorry, sis. The picture that I have up here. This is from a magazine that's an LGBTQ online magazine called Tag. This article is from 2023. So this is not some recent propaganda that someone wrote to disparage the movement. This is about the original 4B movement. And as you can see at the top, it says lesbians are playing a major role in South Korea's radical political and lifestyle movement known as 4B, right? So what happened in 2018 is that it did start originally with just normal women. By the time it hit 2020, since most of the women did not participate, most heterosexual women did not participate, the movement became dominated by LGBTQ female members. So that's where the West 4B movement adapted that concept, because currently, as the Korean 4B movement stands, majority of the people who participate are members of the LGBTQ. Matter of fact, and I was going to wait politely for my turn, but I have not only talked to women in Korea, I've actually talked to the creator. I had a whole conversation with the creator over an hour yesterday on Cartel Samuel's page.
About 4B West, right?
Yeah, the 4B West creator. Yeah, I spoke to her yesterday. So not the Korean women who started the 4B West creator. One of the things that I've learned, I've been watching panels and participating in conversations for the last week. The most interesting part is that 95% of the women, if not 99% of the women, have no idea what they're talking about. They're supporting a movement that they haven't researched, they haven't read anything, they haven't discussed anything. And the reason how you know that is when you ask them aspects of the 4B movement, they're all disagreeing. Mm-hmm. They literally all disagree. And I have a post on my page where I address the married women who say they support this movement. There's married women with children who support a movement that says to not be with men and to not be mothers. If that doesn't tap into the psychotic mindset of the people who are following this, I don't know what else does.
That's because like I said, like in the West, the 4B West movement is not necessarily the exact same thing. They're fighting the system over the These women are fighting men over here. Feel me? In Korea, they're fighting the whole entire system. In America, they fighting certain men. Feel me? So in that lets you know it's gonna always be some kinds of adaptation. People gonna throw in like some things that are emotionally compelling towards the argument that they're trying to have. And that's the reason why you got all of these different women like, yeah, nah, I'm for it. And then they hear like deep down in the definitions of what it takes and what all it requires. And they're like, hold on, nah, I ain't signed up for this shit. You get what I'm saying? So
exactly.
It's because they lacing it with real issues that women do suffer with over here in America, but not realizing the extremism that they are going to. Like they on some never, and the women over here like, nah, I'm cool with staying to myself and getting myself together because that's what you told me. But you talking about never. I ain't never said I wanted to do that. You know what I'm saying? I just said I wanted to work on myself, celibate for a little while. And that's where the confusion come in.
Feminine. The guy who made the 4G movement is in the comments. Michael, I don't know if you want to bring him up.
Oh yeah, I would love to, because I definitely want to know what the G stands for, like for sure. Let's see. Let me let Golden Rose, you go ahead and sound off, and then Shauna, I'm gonna drop you down and I'm gonna bring Michael up since he's the creator of the 4G movement. Okay. Go ahead, Golden Rose.
Thanks for come up here. I won't say that I would call myself a 4B woman at all, but literally since about 2020, I watch patterns. You talked about earlier about the divestment of Black women from Black men. In various different lies, they've mentioned single motherhood, leftover women. They've used all these terms. They've talked about it at length. I keep saying this conversation is disingenuous because we're acting like there aren't issues in relationships between Black men and Black women. Like, am I the only one that's seeing those things?
I don't think anyone's acting like there aren't issues with relationships and people knowing how to build families right, or being able to respect one another, or being able to build right forward. I know for a fact, I've acknowledged that. I've heard Omega Lore's content. Coach Cooper acknowledges that. Slim definitely does. Tone does. Riri, Shauna that I just dropped down. So what we're talking about though, whenever we are out here speaking specifically to the 4B, when this conversation started, because I had no intention on even talking about this, but I had so many people in my community that wanted to hear my perspective and they wanted me to host a discussion. So I said, sure. I said, this is what everybody wants. I said, we'll do it. So when it comes to me, when we're talking about 4B, when you're looking at women over in South Korea that are literally fighting for human rights, when they're fighting for political rights, is very different than the women over here in America that are trying to leverage this based on, I want different treatment in my relationships as far as a man that I want to connect with or I want to procreate with. Is not the same thing. And it waters down the movement. And again, the thing that stood out to me instantly was no childbirth and no procreation, right? No engagement with heterosexual men. I'm a Black woman. I'm not for anything that's going to be advancing the eradication of my people. I'm just not. So, and I get other people may feel like, okay, I'm done with it. I don't want to bring anybody else into this. And when I speak from on an anecdotal side, I've had several positive experiences with Black men in my life. Don't get me wrong. I know there's some Black men out there that are trash, but guess what? There's some Black women out there that are trash too. I don't say, oh, this is a Black man thing or a Black woman thing. No, this is a human thing. It's not gender specific. People with poor communication skills, people dealing with trauma, people that have, ridiculous egos, people that are hyper emotional and those sorts of types of things. That for me, that's not something that I see only in Black men. That's not something that I see only in Black women. That's something that I see overall. It's a characteristics of people with flaws. And so for me, that is not enough motivation for me to say that I don't want to marry or date or have children or have physical intimacy with a Black man. I personally have never had an issue with having a Black man commit to me. Every man I've ever been with wants to be with me, wants to marry me. I'm a married woman right now. I've never had Black men and this is just me. I'm speaking to my experience. I'm not saying that these things don't happen. For the most part, a lot of the things in my career, there were older Black men, and they didn't try and do anything sexual or nasty with me or anything like that. They just saw me working to progress. They saw me working to build something, and they helped me get opportunities. They helped me with my government contracts. They helped me get city jobs and state jobs. They told me when there were different men that I should not be around. My daddy has been in my life. I've watched my daddy love my mama down. They've been married for 41 years. My grandma was married to my papa until he passed away and never remarried. My uncles are happily married to their wives. My cousins are married. So for me, when I was dating, I would tell anybody, and the girls get mad at me, I had fun when I was outside. Men treated me well. I didn't socialize with underbelly men that wanted to suppress me, oppress me, beat me down, tell me what I can or can't do. Those weren't the type of men that I gravitated towards. So I have had very positive experiences with Black men. Now, again, I've met some Black men that are absolute trash human beings, right? I don't choose to socialize with them. I like to surround myself with men and women who are more on the progressive side. So for me, I've been able to have more positive experiences. And when I listen to these think pieces with the women that are saying that they're 4B, a lot of them are coming from the perspective of relationships, like romantic relationships. It's not about human rights. It's not about, equality. It's been about relationships. And so it's not the same thing.
I'm sorry. And I agree with you. It isn't just about relationships. But the reason that I brought up relationship dynamics is because we talked about, you just said it, human rights. I have never been physically abused, but I work with a lot of women who are. I work with women in the STD space as well. I'm not just talking about Black women. I am seeing some very concerning things happening. And whether we attach the 4B to this or we just say this is an issue that needs to be dealt with, I think it's way past time. The femicide rates have gone up since 2020, especially during the pandemic, right? Domestic violence. If I could just finish, I'm sorry. Domestic violence. I can't tell you the number of wives that I've had to treat for HIV. I'm not saying that it's all bad. I'm very optimistic, which is why I'm even participating in conversations like this, because I want us to get further. But even when we talk about childbirth and talk about procreation, I have a lot of moms out here that are having to reach out at the last minute because they don't have community and they don't have partners that are going to help them. My experience and your experience is not the sum total experience of women in this country. And to think, yes, we have a lot more rights than a lot of other women around the world. We don't deal with, FGM, the mutilation. We don't some of the more scary practices in other cultures, but it's not all good here. Some of us
I'm not saying that it's all good. We're first of all, we're talking about 4B and 4G specifically, right? So I'm talking about how does 4B come into play, right? And when we look at South Korean 4B compared to this 4B that's here in the United States, they're not the same thing. The women in the United States are literally commodifying this. They're watering down the movement that those South Korean women are creating. And then again, they have committed to opting out of dealing with heterosexual men. You still have women here in the United States that are talking about they want to be 4B, but ultimately it's because they want to shift the behavior of men or the dynamics when it comes to romantic relationships with men. So therefore, you're not even 4B fundamentally because you still want to be with a man.
Facts. But that's what I'm asking you. Are we in semantics though? Is this telling people how to protest?
No, it's not telling people how to protest. This is just me saying I'm not opting into it. This is not a movement that I'm a part of because people ask me and they ask me why. They ask me my thoughts. And so that's why I am giving them. Then whenever I look at the people that are the face of the 4B movement here in the United States, they're very anti my ideologies and my lifestyle as well. I'm a woman of faith. I believe in God and Jesus. So no, I'm not going to align with people that are telling me if God. I'm not going to align with it. It's not a good fit for me.
Feminine Millionaire, can we listen, I gotta interject because this is a misrepresentation and it's misinformation that she's spreading, okay? Especially when we discuss femicide, okay?
You can go ahead. I was gonna go back there because
I know, but I'm gonna fix it because I'm gonna fix it because I'm kind of
hold on. One of y'all got an echo.
Yeah. So one, femicide is the unaliving of women strictly because they're women.
Hold on, Omega. Hold on. Golden Rose, drop down. I'm gonna keep your box spot open and then request back up, and it should fix your echo. So that way you'll be able to respond whenever Brother Omega finishes. Just drop down and come back up. I'm not gonna put anybody up in front of you. I'll bring you right back up, but it should fix your sound issue. Go ahead, Omega.
Yeah. So, see, ever since we started hearing about this femicide rise from 2021, which was actually a rise for all unalivings for all racial demographics across the country, it was primarily simply due to the pandemic. Okay. When you research homicide and unaliving rates for the Black community for the last 20 years, what you're going to see is that Black women as a whole had a steady average of an unaliving raw number of 500 for almost 18 to 19 out of those 20 to 21 years. There were 3 peaks in the last 25 years when it came to the Black women unaliving rate. The largest number was 1,440 in 2021. See, now a lot of women regurgitate this concept of Black women being alive every 4 to 6 hours. This is incorrect.
Not true. We can't we numerically can't even support that.
Yeah, this came from a feminist article that was actually written in May of that year. And what they did was convolute the numbers from January through May so they can create that concept. Overall, if you were to average and do the math for Black women being unalived every 4 hours in a 365-day year, that would not equal up 1,440. Okay. Now, when you look at the actual data from 2021, when it comes to the Black female homicide rate, what you're going to see the difference between 2020 and 2021 is that the reason why the percentage rose so high is because the Black female perpetrator of homicide against Black female victim homicide rate rose exponentially in double-digit numbers. Even though there was a rise in the crimes that Black men committed against Black women, it wasn't a substantial percentage increase. The largest percentage increase was due to the larger number of Black women who were unaliving other Black women. You can also corroborate this information when you look at the domestic violence data for same-sex Black female relationships from the same year. Okay, so one thing that we're hearing as the basis for a lot of this conversation is untrue. You can Google right now, the marriage rates in the US are up and have been up for 2 years.
They absolutely are.
The divorce rates in America are down and have been down for the last 2 years. So when we hear women say, oh, we're already doing this, you're not. Abortion is not abstinence. The birth rate in the Black community is down because of abortion, not because people are practicing abstinence. It's a lot of misinformation, it's a lot of gaslighting, and it's a lot of emotional playing on people's confirmation bias that they already have.
Thank you. Golden Rose, go ahead.
So let's talk about statistics. I'm in healthcare, and right now we're fighting this fight where we're trying to prove, which it's already proven at this point, but it took probably 2 decades rather of time to collect information on the maternal death rate, right? I hear you. I hear your statistics. I understand what you're saying. I'm telling you that more is happening that's being unreported. I'm talking about we need to start expanding the ages. We're not just talking about women. We're also talking about young women. In terms of domestic violence, I've heard that a lot between same-sex and heterosexual couples. The fact remains that at the end of the day, especially as a Black woman in this country, a lot of the ills that we face are directly a result of patriarchy. And whether you find statistics to support that or you want me to find statistics, I can't. Two things can be true at one time. There can be an increase in same-sex violence. But I'm telling you that the femicide rate is higher than what's being reported. And we won't catch up to it for about another 5 years. Right? There are women who aren't even reported missing, particularly Black women. We know this is a problem in this country. My biggest issue with this whole conversation, and I get that we're talking about 4B, but we do this every time as if Black women don't have their own minds, as if we have not literally dealt with the worst that this country has to offer for the last 50 years. This is not new. And you can say that white women are the ones, white tea women are the ones encouraging us. You can say we're bitter and all this. That's actually not my problem.
I don't think anyone has said that Black women are bitter. I've been here for a while in the conversation. I don't think anyone said that. So, but this is my thing. Like, I don't want to conflate issues. And so this is the first time I've ever seen you on my panel. I don't know if it's the first time you've ever been inside of my room. So you may not be familiar with my content at all. I don't drag things that have gone on in other people's panels or their lives over into mine. So we're focused on the conversation that's here. And so whenever we start talking about issues with romantic relationships, of course there are issues with romantic relationships, and that's not exclusive just to the Black community. That's something, when you look at the generations between millennials, X, Z, you can see all these different things that are shifting. Whenever we talk about someone calling Black women bitter, and we've been in here for quite a while. I think I started up, I don't know, around 6:45 or so. I haven't heard one person in here, even when they've disagreed with one another, call, Black women bitter for being a part of the 4B movement. There have actually been women that support the 4B movement that have come in here and called me all kinds of bitches and pygmies tonight. Even though I haven't called them out of their names at all, haven't degraded them, haven't dismissed them, which again brings up my point. For women that don't want to join the movement, a lot of the 4B people here in the States, and unfortunately, I seem to see a lot of vitriol that's coming from other Black women. Y'all spare me with one sentences and give me fruit and tap my screen, get me up 10,000 likes real quick. But I've seen other Black women, because if I'm not agreeing or I don't align with it, now all of a sudden they want to silence me. All of a sudden they want to abuse me. All of a sudden there's an act of violence against me. All of a sudden there are threats against me, right? So this is Black woman to Black woman. So essentially now you're using the same tactics that you're claiming that men are using against us. So realistically, how you understand? Realistically, how is that advancing the movement? So that's what I'm saying. Whenever we're having this particular conversation, that's why I want to keep it on the 4B movement and not getting into not getting into like when we start looking at what's happening with domestic violence. Because if we wanted to talk about that when it comes to Black people, well, the same way 1 out of every 3 Black women have experienced some form of DV inside of their relationships, guess what? 1 out of 4 every Black men have also experienced DV in their romantic relationship. So again, this is not something that's gender exclusive, right? This is a people issue, because that means that women are out here putting their hands and disrespecting our men the same way that you have some of our men out here putting their hands on women as well. And we all know that men that experience domestic violence is underreported, because for a lot of men it's very embarrassing.
Right. Absolutely.
So you see what I'm saying? It all goes both ways.
The reason I brought up the not bitterness actually wasn't to derail the conversation. It was in response to something you said earlier about the type of men that you're encountering in your life and the type of experience that you've had. And basically I was saying, I've had the same experience of being around good men. So it's not about that. I just want to reiterate, it is not about that. And I understand that there are other women and other people saying that. But going back to these statistics and what's actually happening between men and women, there is a need for change for women in this country. If this is not the right solution, I can see everybody saying that. But on the same token, I think that it might resolve some of the issues. One of the main ones, you keep talking about birth and procreation, but it's very dangerous for us to have children here. Not just when we have children, but when we have to actually raise our children up. And that's still due to patriarchy, no matter how you look at it. And we know that patriarchy is a part of white supremacy. Our experiences are not enough. Our anecdotal evidence is not enough to overcome.
Can I ask you a question? What's so dangerous about, tell me, can you give me some specific things that make us having children dangerous?
The healthcare system is still heavily racially biased. They don't listen to us. I can give you 2 examples that
that's true with the healthcare system, but let me ask, can you tell me specifically how Black men are making it dangerous? Because I agree with you with the healthcare system. There's tons of data and research to support that a lot of times with Black people, we get poor healthcare. With Black women, we have higher death rates, right, during childbirth and things of that nature. That's true, but that's the healthcare system. That's not specifically, a Black man, the father of your child, putting you in the dangerous situation. So can you speak specifically to that? Because I agree with you with the healthcare system. That's why you see a lot of Black women getting doulas and opting to have home births these days, or they're going to other countries. I see a lot of Black women that have the financial means. They're flying to Dubai to have their children. They're going over into Germany. Some of them, you know what I mean? They're going to other countries because one is way less expensive to have their children there, but the level of care is much better for them. And I see a lot of Black women, if they can afford it, they have doulas and they have midwives that are helping them. And I'm seeing an uptick in home births with Black women as well, because of what's going on inside of the healthcare system.
So I don't know, 4B is not strictly against Black men, is it?
No, it's not. It's not strictly against Black men, but I was speaking about it as far as Black women joining the movement, because they've made Black women the face of this movement, unfortunately. And so literally, a lot of Black women have picked up the ball and they've run with it. And for me, again, when you look at other times when Black women had movements, or we had economic issues or socio issues, there were none of these other groups of women that stepped in to support us, right? And then even when you look at some of the waves of feminism, Black women were brought in and we were used to push the numbers, the narrative, the protests, those sorts of types of things. And when those other women got what they wanted, they discarded us and did not care that we were left out in the cold. So for me, again, there are several reasons why I'm not signing up for this, specifically as a Black woman, especially when I see them now, the media now using Black women as the face of the 4B movement here in the United States.
So, I'm not gonna be long.
I got you. I just want to say something real quick.
Let them respond. We still haven't heard from Dr. Michael yet. Everybody has an opinion on this. Everybody do. Everybody knows something about something. Everybody done look the research. But we have to be respectful of the panel, y'all. It's still some people who haven't spoken.
I just want to tell sis, you know what I'm saying, to make sure she corrected. It's a Black woman as the movement, as the face of the 4B West movement. She put herself there.
Yeah, that's why I say here in the United States. That's why I say in the United States, not in Korea.
And she is an anti-Black man. I had her up on my panel and we were discussing it, and she said the reason why she came up with this entire list of every negative red pill or passport bro talking point, and said this is the reason why. She didn't say anything about healthcare, anything about femicide. She said specifically the creator of 4B West said out of her mouth, because of all the things that Black men have been saying about Black women, that's why she made the movement.
Also, I have a question too. Golden, or a few questions. Golden, you there?
Yeah, can you keep the background noise down? Go ahead.
Okay. So when it comes down to all these things that you answered, you asked, the mortality rate when it comes to our women, when it comes to the medical industry, we understand that these are all things that the YT man have put, in place, because they don't like us. We know this, right? We know. So when it comes down to movements like this, right?